The iPhone 17 Pro just got released, and in unnecessary YouTube fashion, I wanted to put the video quality up against one of the most popular cameras for the past couple of years, the Sony FX3, and the results actually surprised me a little bit. In this video, you'll see some key differences between the two, and you'll also see me launch my brand new iPhone 17 Pro Max 20 feet in the air for a drop test using a bounce case by Caseify. Oh! Man, oh man. Shout out to them for sponsoring this video, man. But let's get into it. I want to show you some shots from both the iPhone and the FX3 unlabeled, and just let me know if you can tell the difference between the two. I'm gonna put camera A and I'm gonna put camera B. And just keep your answer in mind. I'll tell you what that answer is in a second, but just check out the clips. We're gonna take a quick break from the test and do a quick drop test with my iPhone 17 Pro Max using this Caseify bounce case. Now, this case is rated for 21 feet of drop protection. It has these bounce corners on it, which should protect it from, hitting at those specific angles. But beyond that, it has raised edges, so my camera and my screen should be good. And I also got that impact resistant screen protector on my phone as well. So let's get into it. I'm a little shook, but hopefully they prove to be the truth, right? I'm a little shook. Oh, we good. What? Bro, I was legitimately shook just now, bro. All right, I'm gonna toss it up again. I ain't gonna lie, I was scared. All right, here we go. We good. The screen protector didn't even crack, bro. This is crazy. Let me take it out the case and make sure the back is good. And the back is totally intact. We good, man. So if you want some protection on your iPhone 17 Pro, 17 Pro Max, or even 17, make sure y'all check out Caseify using the link in the description below. They the truth, all right? Let's get back into it. Now that y'all have had a chance to look at both of these clips, camera A was the iPhone and camera B was the FX3. Now, the results here actually surprised me. Some things that I expected to see, but it was also some things that I didn't expect to see. And in certain instances, I actually prefer the iPhone. So let's get into these characteristics that I found. Looking at these clips side by side of me standing in front of the red wall, it's a couple of things that instantly stood out to me. The first one is that these clips are almost indistinguishable. I'm not a colorist, and I gotta say that because there's gonna be somebody here that says, oh, you just didn't match the color. I tried, bro. I'm not a colorist. But aside from the color and the exposure that I tried to get really close, these shots are almost indistinguishable until you zoom in. Now on zoom, one thing that instantly stood out to me that I expected to see in pretty much all of these examples is that the depth of field on the FX3 is just noticeable. When you use a full frame against the iPhone, that's one thing that you're never gonna really be able to match unless you stop down a lot. And we try to stop down, but even in this instance right here, you can see that the little bit of shallow depth of field coming from the FX3 is noticeable compared to the iPhone. Another thing that I noticed when looking at both of these clips is that the roll off on the tones on my face in this specific shot are a lot smoother on the FX3. Now this could be due to the fact that I just didn't match the tone curve when I did the color grade on both of these clips, or it could just be a discrepancy between both of these cameras. But I do like the way that it looks a little bit more on the FX3. But aside from that, if you looked at both of these clips in a sequence or in a story, you wouldn't be able to notice the difference. I think that both of these shots look extremely good. And honestly, The quality here really surprised me. I was expecting to see a clear blowout on the FX3 to the iPhone. Now looking at this next shot of this silhouette with me in the shot, these clips right here look really freaking good, bro. Like, if I was making a project, I would be more than happy to put either one of these clips into my project, and I would not mind it at all. The colors on both of these clips look amazing. The tone roll off, the way that both of these cameras are retaining highlights and shadows in this, I just love the way that this looks. Now, one thing that instantly stood out with this shot is that the vignette on the FX3 is a lot more harsh. And that could be due to the fact that we had an ND filter on the FX3 that was different than the one on the iPhone. Or it could be that when you're using full frame cameras, if you do stop the lens down, you do tend to get more of a vignette on your shot if you're not using a high-end cinema lens. With the iPhone, the shot is pretty much clean tone-wise through and through. But on the FX3, you can see more of a vignette on the shot. Another thing that really stood out in this shot that surprised me a lot is that the iPhone is doing a much better job here of retaining the highlights in the sky if you look to that right side of the frame. I expected the FX3 to blow the iPhone out of the water when it comes to high contrast shots like this, but as you can see, the iPhone is actually doing a much better job retaining the highlights. Another thing that stood out about this shot is when you zoom in, you can see that clear, shallow depth of field off of the FX3. And again, this is something that I expected to see between the comparison of both of these cameras. But zoomed out, looking at both of these shots side by side, they're both amazing looking. And I would honestly probably take the iPhone over the FX3 in this situation right here. Looking at this shot right here, we've made it in the blue hour, and you can see with this shot, the colors of these shots are very similar, but the FX3 just blows it out of the water with that shallower depth of field. Not to say that I dislike the way that the iPhone clip looks. I think the iPhone clip looks amazing. And if you zoom in on it, it actually does have some depth of field with it as well. But the FX3 is just so much more pleasing, man. That's the one thing that you really can't get on the iPhone, man, as opposed to using a full frame camera. Shallower depth of field just makes the roll off with the focus look so much nicer. Looking at this next comparison, I noticed something about both of these cameras that I didn't expect to see. So for starters, this is a super low light shot. We basically just exposed highlights for the sky, and then we just let all of the foreground just go into full on silhouette mode. And in this scenario, I expected the FX3 to essentially just blow the iPhone out of the water, but the iPhone still looks really good in this situation. On zoom, one thing that I noticed about looking at both of these cameras is that they both have noise, but the noise pattern is way different. On the side of the iPhone, it's noisy if we zoom in and you look at the sky. And I don't know how this is gonna translate to YouTube because compression is gonna go over top of this, and it's probably gonna make the FX3 look like it has absolutely no noise at all, but trust me, it has noise. But on the iPhone side of things, it's the nasty type of noise. You know, like when you get artifacting and it starts to get blocky, that's what I'm seeing when I zoom in on the iPhone. When it comes to the FX3, the type of noise that I'm seeing is more on the grain side. You know, just typical grain that you would see in a camera if you push the ISO way up. So both of these images are noisy, but they just have different types of noises. And me personally, I would much rather have the noise from the FX3. This noise type is so much easier for you to denoise if you need to in post and still keep a lot of definition in the shot. When it comes to the iPhone, you can't denoise this. You already have a lot of mush and artifacting going on if you want to remove it. So if you do add denoise on top of it, it's just gonna lose all sort of detail. But that's just what I observed looking at both of these clips. If you don't zoom in though, both of these clips look amazing. And I honestly expected the iPhone to look like complete garbage in this scenario, but I think the iPhone looks just as good. You often hear, just use your iPhone, it's just as good. And I got some thoughts on that, and I'm gonna tell you about those. But for starters, man, you gotta protect your phone. The new aluminum unibody design on the iPhone 17 Pro is cool, but it's extremely slippery and prone to scratching, as I'm sure a lot of y'all have seen. So Caseify is the place to pick up a case, man. If you want maximum protection, the bounce case is for you. Y'all just saw me throw my phone up in the air and nothing happened. Those enlarged corners on the bounce case deliver some of the strongest drop protection ever. I honestly don't see you ever breaking your phone with that case on it. And if you want to show off that bold orange on your phone but have a slimmer profile, the clear case is for you. UV Defender does anti-yellowing, and to test this, I actually left this in a cup of coffee for 4 whole hours, and you can see that it's still crystal clear. And if you want to be a bit more expressive, the glaze case is for you. It features a scratch-resistant glossy backplate that keeps the print on it vibrant, and it ensures that it won't peel off. All of the cases feature camera control integration, MagSafe compatibility, and a raised bezel to protect your cameras and screen. But if that isn't enough protection for you, you can also get a screen protector that's super easy to install. If you want expression and protection, make sure you shop at Caseify. They make premium products that deliver on the promises they make, and I'd say that equates to the price of them. It'll be a link in the description for y'all to cop a new case and accessories from Caseify. But let's talk about the iPhone 17 Pro versus the FX3. Should you just use your iPhone? Now, a lot of people say the iPhone is just as good as the FX3. Now, is that true? I'm gonna say yes and no. Yes, in the sense of, if this is all that you have on you and you have it in your pocket, Film and Log on your iPhone is gonna give you some really quality shots that are gonna fit in your story just as good as if they were shot on the FX3. But in that same breath, no, the iPhone is just not a full frame cinema camera, because you really have to factor in the experience of using both of these systems, and they couldn't be further from different. The iPhone is significantly smaller, and you always got it in your pocket, which is a benefit, but using it for professional work can feel like hell sometimes. My first time using a Blackmagic camera app on the iPhone was within this comparison between the FX3. I think the app is amazing. It gives you tons of controls on your iPhone, and it allows you to do certain things on your iPhone that you wouldn't be able to do in a traditional camera app. But I also think using the app kind of sucks, the experience of it anyways. And the reason why I feel this way is because the iPhone doesn't have any buttons on it or dials that you can customize and to do specific things. You essentially just have a bunch of controls on the screen, and navigating through this kinda feels like hell sometimes, to be completely honest with you. And I think that that's one of the biggest negatives of using your phone for professional work. Using the FX3 is just so much more intuitive. You have better ergonomics, you have tons of buttons that you can customize into different things, and navigating around the camera to get what you need done is just a lot easier to do. So when it comes to experience and using both of these systems, they're totally different. Now, another thing about the iPhone is that it has a ton of different lens options, which is amazing. I don't want to knock the iPhone. I think the iPhone is amazing. Having that 100mm, the ultra wide, the standard camera is incredible, but it's never gonna reach the level of having that shallow depth of field that you can get from a full frame camera. In the FX3, when you're using it next to the iPhone, this is something that you just instantly see. Now, to throw some positivity on the side of the iPhone has some of the best stabilization that I've ever seen in any camera. And looking at these tests side by side with the FX3, the biggest thing that surprised me is that the iPhone does a greater job at retaining highlights in a lot of different scenarios. It has to be some software magic that Apple got going on with this footage, but looking at a lot of these shots side by side, the highlights in the iPhone are retained a lot better than on the FX3. So that's a little bit of positivity on the side of the iPhone. Now, with all of that being said, the iPhone is amazing. It's one of the best cameras that you can have on you, has tons of different lens options, the footage looks amazing, the log looks great, but it's just not an FX3 or a mirrorless camera for that matter. It's always gonna feel more intuitive to use a mirrorless camera to produce high quality footage because of those buttons and those dials, and then you can easily swap out lenses to get a specific look that you need. Using the camera is just always gonna feel better than using your iPhone. Not to mention your iPhone is also a phone. So you got phone calls coming in, you got text messages coming in, emails, all of these different distractions going on. It can feel counterintuitive to use your phone to produce high quality stuff. But if your iPhone is all that you have on you, and you find yourself in a pinch, or you don't want to carry a big camera anywhere, the iPhone, like I said, is one of the best tools, or one of the best cameras that you can use to capture the moment. I love the iPhone, but it's just not an FX3. And that could be good or bad depending on what boat you're in. Maybe you don't want an FX3, but that's what I took away from it, man. It's up to you to decide. I think both of these tools are amazing, and having both of these at your disposal makes the process of you capturing the moment so much easier.